Good evening, everybody. How is everyone tonight? Okay, before we get started, I want to know who came from the furthest away. So, where'd you come from?
Sitka, Alaska.
That's cute, but not today. All right. We got somebody from Gladwin? Anybody further than Gladwin? Saginaw? Wow. I am overwhelmed and overjoyed to see so many people here tonight. I thank each and every one of you for investing your time and energy to come here. My name is Alice Chiku, and I am a resident of Mount Pleasant. I am part of the core team, the core leadership team for our local Indivisible Central Michigan group. I'm not alone. We have a huge leadership team. Would everybody else on the leadership team make themselves known? So what exactly is this town hall about? We have been trying unsuccessfully to meet with Mr. Moolenaar for weeks now, and we actually don't believe he's met with his constituents in a town hall in years. I think it was that CMU meeting that 2017 that pushed him over. We believe that our representatives should be responsive to their constituents, and it seems clear that he is not interested in receiving our input, nor is he interested in representing all members of his constituency. We attended one of his office hours in January with poor Josiah. Josiah, he did give his best effort, but it was evident that he was unprepared for the input we gave. He had no information about Moolenaar's stance on any issues, and he had actually told me he never met directly with the congressman ever. So his only solution was that he was going to take notes for us and then pass them on to another staffer who would pass them on to the congressman. So our Indivisible group decided to put this together so that not only could we share our input with him, but so that all of you would also have the chance to ask him questions and share your stories or your opinions with him. I would like to preface this session by positing that, contrary to what Mr. Musk thinks, empathy does not make a society weaker. Empathy makes a community stronger, and it makes a community livable. For the past 59 days, it seems like empathy has been in very short supply in Washington. The latest sign of this was yesterday, when new rules were introduced by the Social Security Administration. Beginning March 31, any new Social Security applicant applying for the first time, or any current recipient that wants to change their direct deposit information, will be required to verify their identity in person at a field office. In-person visit only. And these are being required while they are closing dozens of field offices. And I don't think I need to explain to anybody here the imposition that that's going to put on the most vulnerable people, the people that live in rural areas that do not have access to these. We need a great deal more empathy, not less. So, our first step in that is sharing with Mr. Moolenaar the impacts of what's going on in Washington on our lives. So, for this event, first and foremost, let's be kind to each other. Speakers will go in the order that they've signed in. If you want to ask a question and you haven't signed in the sign-up sheet, just find your way over here and sign in at any time. And you can add your name. When it's your turn, please introduce yourself and where you are from. If you need to, spell your name for the benefit of the media in the room. At that point, we're going to start a clock. We'll limit people to 3 minutes so that everybody has a chance to share or ask a question. You will be told when your time has started. That'll be right after you say your name. And with 30 seconds left, you'll get a little flashcard. And when your time is up, you'll be told as well. And this is to ensure that as many people as possible get a chance to speak. So as a courtesy, please do not shout down or interrupt a speaker. Once a speaker is done, we'll take a few seconds for maybe the chair at the front of the room might want to reply. You never know. And then we'll go on to the next speaker. We are recording this. We do have media here, and we will capture we have a transcriber over here. We will capture all of your input and all of your questions, and we will pass them on to Moolenaar's office. Also, as a reminder, this event is organized by everyday people just like you. Like 8 weeks ago, it was a group of 4 ladies sitting in a bar at Freddy's. And now... So we have never organized an event like this, so please grant us some grace as we make our way through this, and grant each other grace too. We want to build a community together while we send a message to our representative in Washington. So let's get started. Tara Emmendorfer. You do have to stand close to the microphone.
I'm pretty short. Okay. Hi, my name is Tara Emmendorfer. Can you hear me?
You can lower it down, angle it downward.
Okay, I'm short. Okay. I'm an Air Force veteran. So is my husband. We've been married. 30 years. Been together 31 years. We met in the Air Force when I was 19 and he was 21, and we've been together all that time. Mr. Moolenaar, the Department of Veterans Affairs saved my life, and it saved many other veterans' lives. I attempted suicide in 2019 because of military sexual trauma that happened when I was in the military. You say that you support veterans. How is cutting 80,000 jobs at the VA going to help a 100% disabled veteran like me? As I said, it saved my life. As someone who worked in the Veterans Resource Center at Central Michigan for 10, 11 years and worked with veterans, I saw the impact that getting their GI Bill did for them every single day and getting their veterans benefits. I can tell you, sir, that you being spineless and not doing anything to help the people that work at the VA who are veterans themselves or even those who aren't, you show no courage. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Sheila Enns.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila Enns. My last name is E-N-S. And I'm 67 years old, and I'm in a 7-year battle now for cancer. As of yesterday, I started clinical trials down at U of M. I'm not giving up. I also have Parkinson's. I was diagnosed 11 years ago, and to give up my job, I used to coordinate the Meals on Wheels volunteers and run the dining room at Antler Arms Senior Center in Gladwin, Michigan, and I love that job. I also have a grandson with autism, and both my grandchildren are biracial, as is my son-in-law, and this is my daughter, Jessica. And I'm here because this is not the country I grew up in. It's not the country I recognize anymore. Do you recognize it anymore? No. We're finding our voices. We're waking up. For too long, too many in this country have forgotten that our forefathers fought and gave their lives for us to have a voice. So I'm speaking out today. I called Moolenaar's office, and my daughter will tell you this, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, except the days I had treatment, for weeks. I built a rapport with the young people, his aides, at the DC office. Thanked them for their service and having the courage to speak to me on the phone when he wouldn't. And I thanked them when I went and protested in front of his office and he sent cookies.
Half cookies.
Half cookies to placate us from Cops and Donuts, which I support the police. My stepdad, who was my dad and helped raise me, was a Genesee County deputy sheriff. I have great respect for them as well as veterans because he also served in the military, as did my siblings, as did my cousin who gave his life in Vietnam, and my uncle who was shot up with shrapnel on at Normandy Beach. So yeah, I respect the police. I respect the veterans. I respect our country's laws. My question is, when is someone going to hold Trump accountable? I don't want to hear, oh, well, Musk this and Musk that. Trump sits behind the Resolute desk. No one else. He is president. And when are we going to be heard as constituents by the Republican Party? Whether you are Democrat, Independent, or Republican. When someone is elected to serve their constituents, they are elected to serve all constituents, not just the Republicans or those that they feel that they are to serve. It's everyone. And that is my question. When are they going to stand up to him, and when will he be held accountable? Thank you.
Evelyn Alsop.
My name is Evelyn Alsop. My name is Evelyn Alsop. That is spelled A-L-S-U-P. I am from Lake Station, which is on the county line. So a little backstory. For many years, I lived in the state of Oklahoma, and while I was there, I worked for the state, certifying folks for SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps. I certified folks for Medicaid benefits, and I certified folks for daycare subsidy. So of all the things that I did, helping families be able to eat was the thing that stood out to me as being the most important. So, Mr. Moolenaar, the top story on your webpage states, Congressman Moolenaar has a 100% pro-life record protecting innocent human life and supports Michigan parents and their children. And yet, you voted for the continuing resolution that will cut SNAP benefits for those very parents and their children. The continuing resolution passed by Congress last week calls for a $2 trillion, with a T, trillion dollar cut in mandatory spending which includes programs like SNAP and Medicaid. It is estimated that there will be a 20% cut to SNAP benefits. So in Michigan, in the fiscal year 2024, 15% of our state population received SNAP benefits. Nearly 40% of those were children under the age of 18. 1 in 5 children in our state are facing hunger and food insecurity. Here's the statistic that really jumps out at me. Michigan's average SNAP benefit is $5.69 per person per day. Would you be able to feed your family on $5.69 a day? Mr. Moolenaar, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to. So my question is this. What plan do you have to help these parents and their children when they can no longer afford to purchase food? Don't tell me that the churches and the food banks are going to step up to help them. We know they are all managing on a shoestring budget as it is. What is your plan, Mr. Moolenaar, to help these families? Your answer better be a good one, because if it's not, then that means you are simply pro-birth.
Mark Ellis and Jessica.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica. Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Steiner. This is my friend.
I'm Mark Ellis.
And we're
What do you want to talk about?
bridge cards.
Okay. What is your concern?
Are they gonna cut it? Cause a lot of our friends are on it, and then some other stuff.
Talk into the mic.
Take it right off the stand.
It's a handheld. Oh, right here. Go ahead.
Like,
Put it right up to your mouth. Right up here.
like if people are on bridge cards, will they still keep them?
Are you concerned about your Social Security, Jessica?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And staff.
And staff. Yes. I work at Listening Ear, and okay. Yes.
I'm
okay.
I'm one of the clients from Listen Year.
She is. Yes. I don't work directly with Jessica, but I work with her friends. Don't I?
Yeah.
Yes. And the staff at Listening Ear gets mostly paid through Medicaid.
Medicare.
Okay. And Jessica receives Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security,
Social
right?
Security.
Yes. And so she wants Mr. Moolenaar to know that she is very concerned. Yes.
Everybody to keep their bridge card.
Yes. You're worried about that bridge card, aren't you? That's right. That helps what? What does that help you do?
Buy groceries and bills and stuff.
Yeah, so the Social Security helps pay your bills,
and
your rent and things.
and
Yeah.
some other stuff.
That's right. So that's about all we have to say. And I'm glad Jessica came up here with me. I serve 4 different clients myself, and Jessica has 1 or 2 staff, or how many?
2.
2 staff that come in
And work with
every
me.
day,
Yeah.
a few hours a day.
Yeah. Monday and Wednesday and Thursday. Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay. Yes. So thank you for your time. Mr. Moolenaar, please do something to save the Social Security system. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Lisa Haddon, maybe? Yes.
I'm short too.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Haddon. Closer. I'm 74 years old, and I've lived in Mount Pleasant for 35 years now. I have a few things to say about DEI. I'm old enough to remember watching the civil rights movement on TV as a teenage girl. I saw folks being clubbed with billy clubs and being hosed down. I saw dogs attacking African Americans who were peacefully protesting simply because they wanted to vote. I also remember being a student at CMU in 1969 and trying to open a checking account and maybe get a credit card, and I was told no by the bank because I was a woman, and we weren't allowed to have those things then. And I know a lot of you can remember that. That was 55 years ago, and we are still fighting for our human and civil rights. And we should remember the original purpose of affirmative action, and people can argue that all day, who should have it, who shouldn't, or why it was repealed. But the original intent was due to systematic and structural prejudice, discrimination, bigotry, racism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, you name it. It was because all people in those population groups were discriminated against. Decades later, these were repealed, and now we have DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, except we don't have it because Republicans have led us to believe that this is some kind of handout for people that don't deserve it. It's simply a call welcoming everybody in the community, like we are here tonight, with fair treatment and the opportunity for full participation. So the Republican administration interprets this some absurd way that serves as a cover for our blatant racism, misogyny, sexism, homophobia, and xenophobia. The achievements of those in these communities are being erased daily, and that's what my question is to Mr. Moolenaar. You cannot rewrite history. You cannot erase us. We will not be gone. Like Navajo Marine... Like Navajo Marine Ira Hayes, who helped lift the flag at Iwo Jima in World War II, he is now removed from military websites because he's DEI. Or, let's see, African American, Hispanic, and women notable veterans being scrubbed from the Arlington Cemetery website because they are DEI. These people who gave their lives in military service to their country, or the Pentagon erasing the Holocaust because it's considered DEI. You cannot rewrite history. George Orwell wrote in his book in 1965, we all know that book, 1984, and he said, everything faded into mist. The past was erased, the erasure was forgotten, and the lie became truth. Well, I can assure you, Mr. Moolenaar, that will not happen here. We're not going away. We're not going to hide. Despite this erasure, we will continue to offer support in our communities. We will continue to serve our communities and contribute our accomplishments, our successes, our achievements and talents, and no one's going to erase us. No one's going to muzzle us or try to hide us, because this is nothing short of ethnic cleansing. So my request tonight is if you support the Republican version of DEI, then you need to come to a town hall meeting and face us straight on and tell us that we're not worthy, that our community contributions are not good enough, that we are not valuable and we mean nothing. And I want you to tell us that to our faces, because that's what you voted for. Because we will persist to be seen and heard, and we will be acknowledged as Americans. The question for you, Rep. Moolenaar, is will you? Thank you.
Jessica Trotter.
Hi, I'm Jessica Trotter, and I'm from Harrison. Everybody's met my mother now. She's one of the reasons I'm here tonight. Like my mom, I have called Moolenaar's office multiple times, and have received only 2 generic little emails to calm my concerns, and that they did not. My son has level 3 autism and is enrolled in Medicaid. He receives occupational therapy and speech services and requires a communication device to talk. If he loses his Medicaid due to cuts, John Moolenaar, what's going to happen to my son? He depends on these services to improve his life, his quality of life, for when I'm no longer able to be his voice. What's going to happen to him when he turns 18 and there's no Social Security disability for him? Who's going to take care of him? How will he survive without me someday when I'm gone? As you all saw, my mother has cancer and Parkinson's. She depends on her Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Without those services, she's going to die. What are you, John Moolenaar, going to do to protect my mom? What are you, John Moolenaar, going to do to protect my son? Why are you, John Moolenaar, bowing down to Trump instead of protecting us, your constituents? You were elected to serve us, not Donald Trump.
Thank you, Jessica. Matt Schaefer. And then Johnny Tayton, you're next.
I didn't really write anything down. There's so much that is going on and running through my mind all the time. I mean, every time the guy opens his mouth, I'm flabbergasted and can't believe what he said or done. And I think we all have to remember that our Constitution and our governmental structure allows for a certain segment of the population to vote for somebody who wants to be a dictator. But our Constitution and our laws also prevent that individual from actually executing the actions of a dictator. My question for Mr. Moolenaar is, are you going to follow the voters who want a dictator? Or are you going to follow the Constitution and the rule of law? Because if you look on the historical context of the Constitution and our laws, they were directly written, they were directly voted on, they were directly endorsed by the people, knowing that someday some rich man would come along, take the angst of the public, and use it for his own power. So I want to know, Mr. Moolenaar, are you going to value the Constitution and the rule of law? That's what I want to know.
Thank you, Matt. Johnny's next, and then Colleen Reeder.
Hi, everyone. My name's Johnny Tayton. I've been a member of this community for decades. I am an educator. I've educated folks as a teacher, grades 2 through 12. I've worked as a school psychologist. Now I currently work to ensure partnerships between families, schools, and communities to elevate their voice, because education is locally driven, despite the lies that you are hearing in the media. Indeed, today while I was sitting in a meeting with a group of educators strategizing how are we going to make families and children feel protected? How are we going to maintain safe spaces where learning can occur? We got the news across our computers that the EO was signed to abolish the Department of Education. Many lies were perpetuated during that announcement, which was staged using students as props, I might add. They claimed that local control and funding will now go to the states. Well, local control already resides in the states. What is happening is that grants are being canceled, funding is being canceled, people are being fired and laid off. It's been occurring for weeks. They're actually dismantling it from within. The Department of Education actually exists to ensure that all children get a free and appropriate education, and that rural and less resourced districts, like those that many of you, like all of us here, reside in, receive equitable funding, and that our children get a quality education that isn't dependent on their zip code. Although the department, I had said, cannot be abolished by EO, they're effectively abolishing it. This damage is going to take decades, if not generations, to undo. So I want to ask John Moolenaar, where are you when it comes to protecting our children's right to a quality education and a path to prosperity as an adult? Because that's what we're all promised in the American dream, right? Where are you in supporting educators that devote their lives to ensuring that children get that quality education and that they get the interventions that they need? Where are you when it comes to the well-being of families and communities, an educated workforce, national security? A couple of years ago, I made a trip with a group of educators to speak in Moolenaar's office about the importance of quality education preschool to college. I think it was just a photo op for him, because where is he now? We in Michigan are still all in for our kids. But is he? Where are you, John?
Thank you, Johnny. Calling readers now, and then James Vandermeer.
Hi there, I'm Colleen Reeder. I'm from Gladwin, Michigan. And I just wanted to piggyback on what Matt just said. A little higher?
Yeah, and then talk closer.
Okay. I came here to demand that Representative Moolenaar do the job he was elected to do as my representative in Congress and stop allowing the Trump administration to defy the Constitution and blatantly break the law. Closing departments, firing employees, freezing congressionally appropriated funds. These are all actions that the executive branch cannot legally do. It is also illegal for the executive branch to refuse to follow court orders. I asked Representative Moolenaar publicly condemn these actions, demand oversight hearings to investigate all illegal activities by the Trump administration. I also demand that Representative Moolenaar support articles of impeachment against Donald Trump and move to convict. He must be convicted. Repetitive defiance of constitutional law. Our constitutional law must be protected at all costs. Representative Moolenaar, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution for we the people. We're counting on you and the other members of Congress to do what is right. Use your powers, stop this illegal power grab by President Trump and his MAGA cronies. Anything less is a dereliction of duty. Our constitutional law must be protected at all costs. We're counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Now James Vandermeer, and then Shereen Jones is next.
My name is James Vandermeer. I'm from Mount Pleasant. I'm a retired faculty member at Mid-Michigan College. Wrong one?
Nope, right one, closer. Nope,
okay.
closer, closer.
I'm a retired faculty member at Mid-Michigan College. And the last time I saw you, Representative Moolenaar, was when you came for Indigenous Peoples Day a few years ago. I wouldn't expect you'd show up for something like that these days. It'd be too DEI. But I want to talk about something, part of a package that happened just today. President Trump signed a new executive order called Continuing the Reduction of the Federal Bureaucracy. So it's continuing. It's not just Elon Musk. President Trump is signing it, supporting it, and these kinds of things. These are the things that were canceled today. Not entirely canceled, but the non-statutory components of these agencies, in other words, any part of it that isn't explicitly named by law that it must happen, and the functions of those entities are going to be eliminated to the maximum extent consistent with the applicable law. And those entities must also reduce the performance of their their legal functions and associated personnel to the minimum presence and function required by law. In other words, nothing left. And today a lot of people left. The Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service that works with unions to help resolve conflicts, the United States Agency for Global Media, which I'll get back to in a minute, the fiercely nonpartisan Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars in the Smithsonian Institution, the Institute for Museum and Library Services, United States Interagency Council on Homelessness. I guess we're just all supposed to solve that problem all by ourselves. And the Minority Business Development Agency, all of those people got laid off and so on. But I want to talk about our concern about the suppression of journalists that's going on, except for a few favored organizations. People aren't being allowed in. They're being shut down, and the government, in shutting down the United States Agency for Global Media. Who is that? That's the Voice of America. That's Radio Free Europe. That's Radio Liberty, the Middle East Broadcasting Networks, and the Office of Cuba Broadcasting. They've been silenced because everybody's been sent home. These are inexpensive sources of information to people throughout the world in places where they are under oppressive governments who seriously suppress information. It's a vital lifeline to those folks. Okay, Representative Moolenaar, you are the chair of the Select Committee on Relations with the Chinese Communist Party. And it's your job to watch out for these things. Now, when we cancel Radio Free Asia, that means the Uyghurs, the Muslim population who are being heavily suppressed by the Chinese in Western China, that means the Tibetans in Southern China, if you want to call it China, people, the North Koreans and various other people suppressed along the southern part of Asia, they're not getting it anymore, okay? Where are they getting their information now? It's getting from the oppressive people who are silenced. We don't want that to happen to us here, but we don't want it to happen right now to them. It doesn't cost much. You have a position where you can speak back directly to this action in there. So let's start there at least. You can do it tomorrow in your committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Shireen, and then Mark Rao, you're up next.
A little bit shorter. My name's Shireen Jones, and I'm a retired speech pathologist in the public schools, and now I'm substitute teaching. And I live in Mount Pleasant. One of my high school students asked me, if I knew that Trump was starting segregation back up again. The student is a member of an indigenous population, so a minority group, and he said that this meant that Trump was changing bathrooms and drinking fountains to be white and then others separated. But he said the new rules only apply to federal buildings and not private buildings because they can't be forced to comply. I asked him how he felt about that, and he said that's going to set us back 100 years. Sadly, I don't know if it's true or not. In this current age, I could not refute it. I couldn't confirm it. It doesn't sound like it is that far-fetched to me, and that's scary. I wonder if the student even knows that with the cuts to education, all the hot lunch programs that so many students who might not otherwise get a hot lunch or any lunch rely on every day are also on the chopping block. I'd like to know, Mr. Moolenaar, what are you going to do to protect our students and their food security, and so that they can learn and be fed, at least at school? And why aren't you standing up to President Trump, whose actions and words lead young people, and even me, to wonder if something so absurd and cruel could be true? So, if a high school student realizes that this is wrong and retrogressive, setting us back 100 years, Mr. Moolenaar, I wonder why you don't understand that.
Thank you, Shireen. Mark Rao, and then Jeff Ellis next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Rao. That's spelled R-A-U. I'm a retired sales representative from a local manufacturer. I'm from Beale City with a Wademan mailing address. I am not paid to be here. I am not affiliated with a political party. I voted Democratic, I voted Republican, I vote for who I think is right. I have corresponded with Mr. Moolenaar on several occasions, and generally have not been very satisfied with the canned responses that I get, but that's what you get. As I mentioned, I'm from Beale City. I went to school there, and throughout my education, I learned that there are 3 separate but equal branches of government. When I listen to the news today, mainstream media, whatever news media you listen to, what I'm hearing are attacks being made today on the judicial branch to impeach judges whose rulings displease President Trump. I also hear about Doge, led by Elon Musk, who is really not the leader of Doge, but who is the leader of Doge. And they are implementing massive cuts, as we've been hearing all night. That the cuts are Congress's duty, that they manage the budget. They have the money, the purse strings. So my question to Mr. Moolenaar, has Congress ceded its constitutional powers to Elon Musk?
Thank you, Mark. Now Jeff, and then Christina Kuntz is next. No, maybe Kuntz?
Hi there. My name is Jeff Ellis. I'm a retired marine geologist and worked in about 40 different countries all over the world, so I've been around. So Mr. Moolenaar, a couple of weeks ago, I sent you an email. And in that email, I said that my son, who is a special operator with the Navy's Unconventional Warfare Command, was concerned that all of his proteges were being overwhelmed by emails from Doge and Hexpeth and all these other guys that are running the Defense Department now. And he was concerned that things that needed to be done for his next deployment, which will probably be in September, weren't getting done. So my question was, what are you going to do about it? The response I got from you was, and it was a surprise because based on your last town hall meeting here where you didn't answer a single question for 2 hours, and in the end the audience was screaming at you to answer the question, Mr. Moolenaar, which you never did. I was surprised to get an answer, but the answer was all about your support of Mr. Trump's economic policies. And I didn't see what that had to do with the question I asked. So, Mr. Moolenaar, when are you going to stand up for these guys that put their lives on the line on a daily basis, whether they're on deployment or simply training, because these guys jump out of airplanes, they use live ammunition in training exercises, and once in a while they get killed. So, Mr. Moolenaar, what are you going to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Christine, and then Paul Greenlee.
I'm Christine Coots. I'm from Mount Pleasant, and I'm 75 years old. And I'm older than you, Mr. Moolenaar, and I've seen a few things. This weekend, I saw a couple hundred that we know of, people, Venezuelans, frog walked onto and off an airplane that Trump was told to not send, and when he sent it, he was told to turn it around. I saw that. You saw that. But, you know, your friend Trump, he didn't think he needed to do that because he thinks that the judge who told him that is an insulting Democrat. Another thing that I've seen is the wonderful thing that libraries and education can do for our kids and our adults and our communities and everything therein. Today, as someone else has just mentioned, Doge, by any other name, decided to cut funding from libraries, local libraries, and mostly awfully affecting rural libraries. You might not know this, Mr. Moolenaar, but sometimes we take books out of libraries to learn things. We're sharp like that. One of the things that we use at the libraries is a system called MELCAT. MELCAT is going to be history. That's the system by which we can order books that our smaller libraries don't have or don't have the money to have. And the system works so well and so quickly that we can learn even faster. And we can learn that things like reading your website page, how you are so keen on protecting our wildlife, protecting the Great Lakes especially, you have said that you are a great supporter of the Great Lakes and were actually a co-sponsor to a recent bill that would continue always to protect the Great Lakes. Now, last week, someone in Washington who isn't me and who isn't you decided that we would have to cut 14 positions just on Lake Superior and cut the people who work really hard to kill off lampreys. Sounds like a small thing, but it's not. The lampreys suck the life out of fish, who oxygenate the water, who make it drinkable, who make it potable. We'll go back to drinkable, that's a big word. And we'd like you to take up that mantle that you're so proud of telling us about. Protect the Great Lakes, protect the libraries, protect education, make a stand. Tell Trump what you really think if you really think it. Tell us what is really going on and help us out. Stand up to people, not us. We know you don't care about us. Care about us in general, though, because we live in the United States, which is not, so far, a dictatorship.
Thank you, Christine. Paul Greenlee, and then Mary Williams will be next.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Greenlee, and I just moved to Mount Pleasant 3 years ago. I'm a Michigander for 3 years now, and I'm from California, and I've never lived in a red district, ever. No closer?
No, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Stage manager. Thank you. So I'm one of those people who's very confident until it's time to get in front of people, and then I freeze up. So I wrote out a statement. I'm very nervous. I'm going to try reading through. I got 3 minutes, so I got to get started. So, Representative Moolenaar, you are an empty chair. I am directing my statement to an empty chair this evening because you are a member of the Republican Party whose leadership has directed their caucus to no longer schedule town hall meetings with your constituents due to the nationwide negative response the Republican representatives are receiving. Period. You could have decided to man up and buck this trend, but you did not. The Republican Party for generations has always professed to be the party of law and order. That may have been true at certain times, but it's certainly not so now. I stand before this empty chair that is here in your absence. I suspect there are members of the Capitol Police who would share my sentiment on the subject matter, whether or not the Grand Old Party is the law and order party. Sorry, folks. I'm just very nervous. Thank you. These are the words you spoke in the hours after the mob instigated by President Trump ransacked the U.S. Capitol. Today's violence was a disgraceful demonstration at the Capitol and has no place in our society. Protesters who breached the Capitol today violated the rule of law and brought violence to the place where we've gathered for centuries to peacefully debate the issues facing our nation. This was a direct attack on the free society that we are blessed to live in, and all those who participate in lawful activities should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I am thankful for the members of the law enforcement who are doing everything they can to protect the Capitol and ask all Americans to pray for peace in our country. Today I went to considerable time on the internet looking for a response from you or your office regarding President Trump's pardon of 1,500 plus indicted criminals that attacked your place of work in our nation capital, I could find no word of condemnation from you. I had thought that something might match your outrage of January 6th would easily have been found, but that was not the case. If I cannot trust you to stand up for the rule of law when it comes to enforcing the metering out of proper justice, when it comes to the insurrection against the United States of America, when can I trust you? Thank you.
Things are short now. Thank you, Paul. Mary Williams. And Bob Meridian is next. What? Even more?
No,
That's what I thought.
I don't know how to type it. I'm just saying you gotta take it down.
I know, I saw you coming up. I was like, all right. Stay close, a lot closer than you think you have to. Okay?
My name is Mary Williams. I'm from here in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, closer to the mic. I'm gonna put it right in front of you.
Oh, okay.
Yep, right up close.
Okay.
There you go.
Is that better?
Beautiful.
Okay. I don't really have a question for Mr. Moolenaar. I do want him to know that we did see what you did in Congress a couple of weeks ago when the Democrats thought they had you cornered in saying that you had 15 days to rule on Trump's crisis at the border and all this jazz. And you and your compatriots in the Republican Party, you passed a resolution stating that the whole congressional session was 1 day long. I've got news for you, Mr. Moolenaar. You've got 3 months to grow a pair because you're going to get a recall petition. And I'm not joking about this. And anyhow, but you got your 3 months.
Thank you, Mary. Bob Meridian.
Are you a child of God? Please, I ask you to listen to these words. 4:37 a.m. Please make it stop. No more play. The war is raging today. Please don't listen to what they say. Bullets are flying. Children are dying. So much endless crime. All this census, tear down the fences. Don't make trenches. You can change. Turn the page. Stop this maddening rage. Please release yourself from their cage. So much hate. Is this our fate? Let's pray it's not too late. No more guns. Seek the sun. You have to be the one. Will we ever see this is not what's meant to be? It's time to hide, fight, or flee. It is me. Can you hear my plea? I am keeping watch over all land and sea. Sky full of eyes, minds full of lies. Must my child by bullet die? Is this the end, my dear friend? Give us hope and love to send. Why the insane, endless clouds and rain? We want to live whole again. You are the one. We are all both daughters and sons. Please don't let them kill me with their gun. I must go. I beg you, end this show. Love and peace must be the flow. Seek me now, you must, somehow. It can be done. You are the ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Now Stacy.
Oh, you can pull it up. Oh, just hold it. I almost hold it. I'm scared of it.
You know, it's kind of funny how all this stuff with the Republican Party right now kind of wipes themselves. All right. My name is Stacy Keipinger, Kilo, Echo, Indigo, Papa, Indigo, November, Golf, Echo, Romeo. Too many politicians and community leaders like yourself have turned their back on humanity and see empathy as a sin. You, like the corrupt government officials, have cloaked yourselves in the self-righteousness of the Old Testament, wielding its verses and teachings to smite not the evil you claim to, but rather use religion to oppress those that need your help the most. You deny the truth of Christianity, which lies in the New Testament, where Jesus says not to wield a sword, but a shepherd's staff. A staff to fight off predators and keep the herd of ewes, our mothers, daughters, and sisters, and our brothers, sons, and siblings that have evolved to see beyond social constructs and truly be themselves. You are directly responsible for enshrining a system that forcefully breeds our mothers, sisters, and daughters, not for the health of the herd, but an endless supply chain of mutton and lamb to feed your gluttonous appetites, putting profits over people, and destroying everything that impedes your endless supply, like education, healthcare, Social Security, Planned Parenthood, religious freedom, empathy, democracy, and even the American Constitution. Through my education, I learned my worth, I learned to recognize history and to see beyond what is in front of me to the bigger picture where actions have consequences. No one is above the law, not even your God King. I see the bigger picture where every life is precious, even those that have yet to come. This is why I know that pro-life means educating individuals, not forcing innocent lives into existence, only to throw mother and babe into poverty and shame. Pro-life ensures individuals have the best chance to self-preserve, self-progress, and self-prepare. Pro-life is not just teaching young adults right from wrong. It is ensuring they have the knowledge, tools, confidence, and ability to protect themselves and their future families. It is indoctrinating boys to respect boundaries. It is providing government assistance to make sure no individual has to fear poverty or death. This is why I have started 989 Cares as a bulwark against the corruption, deceit, indignity, and hate that you, Mr. Moolenaar, and others in the controlling majority of the government condones. I am not a Christian. I am a deist. I am not a Democrat or a Republican. I am a humanitarian. My religion is a vow to uphold, support, and empower my fellow brothers, sisters, and those evolved and brave enough to express themselves as the beautiful individuals they see themselves as. My religion is to love others for who they are, not what they can do for me. This is my attempt to prove what a community leader, such as yourself and the others in government, what a real community leader is
and what one should be doing for the constituents, aka providing the truth of providing the truth of history, policies, and their effects, feedback, support, encouragement, and gratitude, something that is greatly missing, especially in this community today. This is me taking a stance against those evil enough to worship a false idol, turn temples into markets, and slaughter the least of these brothers or sisters of mine who the ruling power feels have no longer use.
Thank you, Stacy. Susan Sickelka. And then Ryan.
I'm Susan Sickelka and have lived in Mount Pleasant for 4 years. My husband and I moved here in May of 2020. So during the early days of COVID, it was not the best time to get to meet lots of people, and I'm thrilled to see so many of you here tonight. Mr. Moolenaar, I know that both Representative Richard Hudson, head of the National Republican Congressional Committee, and Speaker Johnson have instructed all representatives to cease holding town hall meetings where constituents, by tradition, have had face-to-face access to their representatives. Ostensibly, this has been to block any unseemly behavior by citizens, none of which you would see here tonight. And I understand a desire for greater decorum. But this instruction makes you less transparent and more detached from the concerns of your very own constituents. Even so, I appreciate this opportunity to speak in front of my neighbors to your empty chair. In preparation for this evening, I did quite a bit of online searching for your positions on bills and Trump's seditious takeover of our beloved government. I assume that someone is recording this meeting to be later parsed for your consumption. I also looked for information that described you on a more personal level. I learned that you graduated from Hope College in 1983. It's a fine school. I graduated from Alma College in 1981. And while competitors on the field or floor, our colleges have always seen each other as worthy adversaries, but never enemies. I am not your enemy, Mr. Moolenaar. I am your constituent, and I want some answers. In the hunt for anything that would explain why you voted the way you did on any number of bills, all of which I disagreed with, the only rationale I found was that you think we should all support Mr. Trump because, in essence, he will make everything better. I reject that out of hand. I see no evidence of that in his previous administration, nor this one. Instead, I only see cruelty and chaos. The budget which was recently passed can only work if the neediest people in our great nation are denied benefits that they were promised and on which they count for their very survival. Food programs, healthcare programs, housing programs, veterans benefits will all be cut simply because your math does not add up. In order to make cuts in this budget, services have to be cut. I do not believe it is much of a stretch to say that people will die because of this decision. How do you square this with your Christian faith? Explain the steps you went through to reach the conclusion that this budget achieves worthy goals. The bill that causes me the most personal concern is your support of the SAVE Act. The only statement from you that I could find says that it is, quote, a common sense legislation that closes a loophole in voting in federal elections. This, sir, is a solution in search of a problem. It is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. And as a current election inspector here in Mount Pleasant, I can attest to the multiple checks of every voter and every ballot. The idea that there is rampant fraud in our elections is preposterous. I have read the bill in full 3 times, and at first glance it seems perfectly reasonable. People are expected to show appropriate documentation when registering to vote. Well, we already have to do that. But on a second reading, a niggling thought crept in. Who are they trying to keep out? Now, my first thought was that it was our trans brothers and sisters. I tried to project out from the document the likely outcome of this act. I learned this technique at Alma. Did Hope teach it? Thank you, I feel better that you got my joke. Know the goal, draft your document, and attempt to think of every possible outcome caused by the proposed rule. When teaching college courses in Iowa, I taught this same method. Write in such a way that your document can be read in only one way. In fact, the courts have repeatedly thrown out laws because Congress failed in this step, failed to create limits within the law. Now, by the time I read it a third time, it was clear that without limitations placed within the bill, many millions of voting women and men will be disenfranchised. How is this helpful? Explain to me the steps you went through to conclude that this bill will increase election security without jeopardizing valid registrations. What is your rationale? Saying that it is common sense simply does not go far enough. It has been repeatedly shown that millions of registered active voters do not have easy access to the necessary documents for in-person registration. And if they do not already have the documents in their possession, they will need to go through the process of purchasing replacement documents. And imagine the vastly increased work for beleaguered clerks across the country to create these replacements. We know that about 12% of the population moves every year, thus requiring re-registering. Every adult would need to keep track of all their documents through every move. And having moved in 2020, I'll tell you there are still things I can't find. Up until now, I've had no need to access my marriage license, but I will need it if I ever move again. I am thankful that I was able to finally locate it. But I understand that the Act wants all our documents to match. But how many millions of people changed their names when they got married? Both my husband and I did. Thank you. Not only that, but what if there is an error on one of your documents? If you divorce and remarry, will you have to carry your divorce decree with you? How many requirements are too many? My late grandmother was a registered Republican and actively voted into her 90s, yet it was discovered on her birth certificate that the doctor had entered her birth name incorrectly and registered her as having a birth date in July when it was really in October. We do the best we can, Representative Moolenaar, but according to this bill, it will never be enough. Thank you for not listening to me.
Thank you, Susan. And now Ryan and then Michael. And we are almost done with our speakers, so we're getting there.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Skolitsky. I'm glad that I can be speaking here with you today. It's too bad that John can't for some reason. You know, we all took time out of our busy days to show up and show that we are very, very much unsatisfied with decisions that are currently being made in Washington. Now, we've heard from people regarding Medicaid. We've heard from our vets. We've heard from our educators. We've heard from people regarding SNAP benefits for our children. We've heard from just about every branch of demographic that you could possibly have in your district. And not one of them is satisfied with you and the decisions that you're making. So I would like to point out that your silence is your compliance, and your compliance is your support. You may not have power over Trump and his executive orders, but by not speaking out, you are showing that you are in favor of the decisions that he is making. You're a representative of all of us, and you are not serving anyone but the people that are having commercials on the White House lawn. Have you no shame? Have you no dignity? This is not what we are paying you to do. This is not why you are going to be receiving lifelong benefits while everybody else's are getting slashed. Now, I was there in Clare when we were trying to speak with you during one of your last breaks that you did not show up for. I had your cookies because I'm I have to worry about my meals, you know? When I was younger, I received Medicaid because of the ailments that I was born with. When I was building my family, we relied on SNAP. My son was born with Medicaid and took care of the expenses associated with his birth. I am more than happy to pay back into all these services that help so many people find a better way of life. It seems kind of crazy that we have to point out what's good for the gander is good for the goose. This isn't working for any of us. And if you're not going to work at your job, you're not going to keep your job, John.
Michael Lynch, and then we have one speaker after Michael, and unless anybody else has something to say.
How you doing? I'm Michael Lynch, and I ran against John Moolenaar in 2024. John Moolenaar is not here tonight, but John Moolenaar had time to celebrate with a January 6th terrorist in Midland, where John Moolenaar lives. I've got to tell you, this is from the heart. I am proud to see all of you out here. I am proud to be one of you, and together. There was a movie back in 1976 called Network, where the main character said, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore." And I think that's where we are now. We're mad as hell. And we're not going to take it anymore. Let me tell you a little bit about John Moolenaar. Okay? John Moolenaar does not understand what it means to represent his constituents. He does not look at this. This is not, okay, this is, for him, this is a job. That's all it is. It's a job. This is representing. Being a member of the House of Representatives is not a job. It is an honor. It is a privilege. It is what you do to take care of the people who you are hired to serve. Let me tell you about people who work. How many of you have worked with somebody, you don't have to raise your hand, just think about it, that does basically nothing but kiss up to the boss? And that's how he holds his job. How many of you have worked with somebody who does as little as he possibly can and happens to be rated one of the least productive members of the House of Representatives from Michigan in one of the least productive Congresses? How many of you would represent the most impoverished district in the state of Michigan and be happy to leave it, the most impoverished district in the state of Michigan? This to him is not an honor. It's not a privilege. That's why he's not here tonight. He showed up for one debate with me. The reason he showed up is because he was told I wasn't going to be there. At this debate, the big champion of the Great Lakes said that the EPA oversteps its boundaries and goes too far. This is the person that said that the president cannot enforce tariffs on his own. It has to come from the Congress. You deserve, we deserve better. We all deserve better. You should be proud of yourself. Democracy is an action verb. Now is the time that we take our country back because we are the heroes that we've been waiting for.
it. Okay, all right. I don't want to be right here. I don't want to be in the public eye. I want to be in the background. But I want to do something, if I can, about this, like probably the rest of you, or you wouldn't be here. I'd like us to be able to connect better. And I see a room full of people that have the same desire. We have different things, of course, yes, but a lot of us have a lot of the same things. And it'd be nice to bring those same things together and to use our energy together in a positive way, of course, but work together. So Alice said I could give her email to you guys. If you would get a pen out, get your phones out, get something out to write it down to connect with Alice. So you guys can get a hold of her about what I'm going to try and do now. I didn't know that there's people up here recording this stuff, and that's awesome. I was in the back of the room in the beginning, and I started just using my phone, go, man, this is so powerful. There's so many people here. This is awesome. I'd like to see see it being used. So I'm glad to see that there's like reporters and stuff here that know what they're doing. Yeah, right on. Right on. Thank you guys. So that's the vision that I had, was I need to try and do that also. So like I said, I'm gonna do it poorly. I'm gonna fall going forward, but here's a plug for me to I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna fall forward, I hope. But newsthreader.com, if you want to get a hold of me, and maybe you have some things that you want to tell me that I'm not doing well, or I need to do better, or that I've done wrong. I'm going to make mistakes like Elon Musk says. We're going to make some mistakes in Doge and stuff, but we'll fix it. I'm probably going to make some legitimate mistakes myself because I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm going to try and work with anybody who wants to get the word out there better and to find ways to get the word out there better. There's always a way to improve a mousetrap a little bit more and be more humane to the mice, let's say, if you want to do that, which I lean towards that. Poor mouse. Okay, anyhow. All right, so public eye, hold on a second, make mistakes, yeah. All right, so again, to get a hold of me or to, at first I saw a lady in the back do a recording. How much time do I have left? Okay, like that much time left, right? So I was like, I want to connect with her. And then I'm like, okay, so I need to at least talk to that lady so that we can share some information and put our phone videos together and stuff like that. Well, anyhow, so yeah, please, I hope I don't fail badly, but I'm going to try and make it work. So newsthreader.com, and please get a hold of Alice. I'll give Alice my information so that she can get a hold of me if you can't for some reason get a hold of me, to tell me, fix this, fix that, stop doing this, stop doing that, etc. I don't have a big master plan or whatever. I'm just going to make mistakes but try and get better as I go. But I guess here's another news outlet of some sort that I hope works out well for everyone to be able to go to and glean a little bit more from each other and grow together. Yeah, God bless America. Thank you, everybody. And write my phone number down too. I'm not afraid to give that out. It's my cell phone number. Text me if you want to, or call 616-430-3001. I'm in Big Rapids, but it's a Grand Rapids phone number. 616-430-3001. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, David, and thank you to all the speakers who are brave enough to come up and share your story with us. And I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. Even if Mr. Moolenaar is not here, we know his ears are ringing. He knows that this is happening. He absolutely knew that this was happening today. I called many times, told him about it. It was in the newspaper, front page, so it's clear we were here. So now what can we do? Keep calling, keep sending emails, encourage the people you know to. If you don't know about 5calls.org, I'm telling you right now, 5calls.org. Look it up, call every day. It does make a difference. We are making a difference. I know you can't see it because this revolution is not being televised. Nobody is reporting it, nobody is showing it, but it's happening. Connect. Nothing is too small. So show up for local meetings, write letters to the editor, join an Indivisible group. I've heard there's one right here. So if you haven't already joined us at Indivisible Central Michigan, you can find us at indivisiblem@gmail.com and find any one of us afterwards, and we'll help you there. Meet people for coffee. Listen to people who are disillusioned or saddened by the current administration, regardless of how they voted. This isn't about arguing, but it's about making space for people who believed what they were told, but nobody voted for this chaos or this cruelty. Nobody did. We are facing a constitutional crisis right now, but we need to be open to all allies in support of democracy, the Constitution, and the rule of the law, regardless of their ideology. And finally, find joy. Take time to do things that make you happy. We can't keep up fighting without taking time to renew our spirits. And nothing annoys those miserable people in power more than seeing us smile. So you can join us every other Thursday night at the library at 6:30. We meet at the library every other Thursday, so next Thursday we'll be there. You can also join us on April 5th at Island Park at noon for lunch, or more joy like this. We are a small organization, and we don't have any money or any funds. If you care to leave a small donation at the door, $1, $2, nothing big, there's a jar. Thanks again for coming out, but please feel free to stick around. We have the building till 9 o'clock, so you're welcome to stay. I did. Thank you, everybody.